the assassination of Malcolm X. Every time you turned around, somebody who had a certain belief system was being gunned down in the streets of America. So while that was swirling around, it just it scared me. It made me think that I was living in a total illusion, land of the free, home of the brave, America, yada yada, that it was nonsense. And it took a while for me to organize my thoughts and say, okay, you've got to do something to resist that kind of craziness. And that occurred for me about 1970. A friend of mine, a woman named Teresa, who 20-some years ago was working at a radio station here in Atlanta. She was working in administration, and she said there was an opening for a Saturday program, a couple hours on a Saturday, and I ought to come and try it. And I said, well, I was working at CNN at the time as a writer, and I said, well, And she said, no, come on, it's fun. Come try it. So I got into it that way. It was just strictly, and there was no pay. And after I was there for a couple of weeks, they decided to pay me $20 for a Saturday, 2-hour Saturday program. So it was about $10 an hour at the beginning, and then it just kind of evolved into
what are called taggants in explosive materials, so that if a bomb goes off, it could be traced more easily to the bomb makers. And the Republicans said no to that too. So, you know, when Limbaugh says something like this, I don't know what to tell you, my friend, except to point out that Limbaugh is a cheesy-ass liar. He is the pig man. He will say whatever corporate America wants him to say, whatever the fascist right wants to say, because Limbaugh is a fascist. Do you understand that?
Have I mentioned tonight how much I hate these people?
They're sneaks and cowards. They're worse than sneaks and cowards. They are betraying the country! Of course Republicans are going to betray the country. That is their nature. It is the nature of a snake to bite you and try to kill you if it's a poisonous snake. It is the nature of Republicans to destroy the Republic. Isn't that ironic? Republicans destroying the Republic and replace it with a form of corporate fascism. Are you listening, Truth Seeker? I don't care where you're listening. Are you listening? Are you listening? One answer. 9/11! 9/11!
A plot against America. I don't believe the official story. I don't know what I believe. I'm still trying to sort it out. I'm trying to sort it through. I'm trying to sift through what is being presented to me, like most Americans, as fact. But there has to be more to it. You don't have 19 hijackers defeat a multi-trillion-dollar defense setup in the most armed militant society ever to live on this planet. That's an impossibility. With box cutters, there had to have been complicity someplace. I don't know where. In government, in certain sections of government, with Bush, with Rumsfeld, with Wolfowitz, with Pearl. I have no idea. But I can't accept the official story.
They're terrorists. Remember, this is a global war on terrorism that we're engaged in. People after September 11th, the president spoke to the American people after September 11th. As time goes on, some people may tend to forget. He will not forget what happened on September 11th. 3,000 lives were lost here.
9/11, 9/11, 9/11. God, these people got what they wanted, right?
So you're insinuating something?
We're just trying to find out the facts.
If you got something to bring to my attention, do so, and then I'll be glad to look into it.
I am really, really, really concerned, too, by the way, that the Bush administration is planning another attack on the United States that is going to be much more severe than the attack that they engineered on September 11th, 2001. That's going to result in horrendous damage and destruction, and is going to be their excuse or justification for putting the country into martial law.
What would I tell somebody from a different planet who came here? What describe Earth, describe the United States? I feel that way when I try to talk to people who believe that there's anything righteous about what Bush is doing. I can't do it. I avoid those conversations. I've lost friendships. I have stepped aside from people I've known for 8, 10, 15 years because I can't process what they're feeling with what I feel.
Which makes it abundantly clear that the Republican majority, and they're not Republicans, these are American Nazis. Let's just call them what they are. They are members of the American Nazi Party. These are Americans who truly believe in utter military control of the entire planet. So to the basement for democracy, as the American Nazi Party takes over everything in this country, The question is, what is the limit on this bastard's power? In the name of fighting terrorism, can he come into your house and rape your child? Well, according to Bush, he can. There is no limit. What do you call that? He thinks he is authorized to use whatever means he feels like using and justify it, rationalize it, legalize it by simply stating it is now legal. But the American Nazi Party that now controls the House and the Senate, the White House, and the judiciary, to such an extent that American patriots, people who still respect the institutions of this republic, like the U.S. Constitution, have to hold their hearings in a basement. Jesus Christ.
Have I mentioned yet tonight how much I hate these people?
Oh, it's totally a lie. Completely a lie. What they do, what the right does, they will take something that has a little germ, a little kernel of truth, and that is that Clinton signed into law an Anti-Terrorism Act. And then they lie about what the act contains. Anybody who wants to know, do a Google. Clinton, Anti-Terrorism Act. And take a look at what the act was. And then go to the Pigman.
I just found it was a fun way to make a living. Since, you know, we have to make a living. we live in a physical world. You got to eat. You got to have a roof over your head. It was a fun way to make a living, and I also found that it kind of broadened me a little bit. Working in talk radio forced me to do research, to think, to examine, to probe, to look things up, to go back and fill in the gaps in my education. So it was kind of just a personal thing for me. It was a good thing. Talk radio has been a good thing.
It's my favorite website.
Live from Atlanta, Georgia.
Let it flow. Whatever's there is there. That's another thing I like about talk radio. There's no editing process. I've worked as a writer. I've also worked as an actor, and in both instances, you have an editor. When you're doing theater, it's the director. When you're writing, it's your editor, whether it's a news editor or a copy editor or what have you. This, let it flow. Okay. Yeah, let it flow. Whatever's on tape is on tape, or on digital, not tape. Okay. Whatever's on the disc is on the disc. I'll live with it.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're very welcome.